Hey everyone, and welcome back to another special episode of Nitro Nights. Just like the last time, we're taking a look at the awesome eRoc qualifiers. Not the Invitational, that's done and dusted, but this time the Open Qualifier that fields the fastest sim races the world can offer. As usually, we will have breathtaking racing and close battles to determine our next finalist for the big showdown in Sweden. Whoever missed the last show, here's a short explanation of what happened. 128 drivers had the chance to qualify themselves through their respective qualifier finals. From there, only the 4 best go on to race in real cars at the final in Sweden. And today, we have a packed show to fill 2 of these spots. Starting with the Swedish qualifier, and then going into the Open qualifier today. Be excited for names such as F1 esports alumni Lucas Blackley or newly acquired BS competition star Artur Camara. One slot for the final was already claimed last time around by the world's fastest gamer James Baldwin himself. So let's take a quick look at how he ended up securing the top spot.
Kevin Siggy's win was slower than Baldwin, so Baldwin chose the outside line for this final decisive race of the eRoc Invitational. The winner of this race will be invited to Sweden to participate in the world final against the Overtake community champion, voted for by the Overtake audience, and then the qualifying finalist. The qualifying finals being shown here on Overtake at the end of January. Competition opening today, registration for the competition opening today, and then the very best Swedish driver from that competition as well. Those 4 will participate on a replication of the real virtual track in Pete Hasbah, and also participate on the real track itself and get training. Baldwin, 41.9 for his first lap. Siggy, he's on the wrong side of 4-second gap. This is advantage Baldwin then, and we are going to follow him for the final lap of this Invitational. Can he do it again? In such different conditions, in such different style of driving. Baldwin's so neat though. Just incredible to see, with such limited grip, how Baldwin is able to keep the control of the car and then get the power down when he needs it. 4-wheel drive in these cars. The qualifying final will be driven in a Porsche. It'll be a very, very different style. But who's it going to be to win? Oh! Let's do a slow-mo replay and look at that again. 0.009 of a second. Baldwin is the victor, but only just once again. Scraping through against Otmir and scraping to victory against Kevin Siggy.
What an amazingly close battle, and congrats to James once again for the big win. But let's focus on today's action. Before we start with what happened at the Swedish qualifier, we want to tell you a little something about the Overtake award. That's right, with the power of you guys, we will send one of the participants from the Invitational, who missed out on the first opportunity, to the big final in Sweden. So make sure to head over to Twitter and vote for who you think deserves it the most. But now, let's take a look at the Swedish qualifier. This small tournament only consists of 4 participants who drive against each other twice. The driver with the most wins gets a W in the end. The field will consist of an all-Swedish lineup that will look like this: Robin Johansson, Goran Johansson, Martin Palm, and Andre Foster. Just like in the Invitational, each time drivers square off, then they actually switch the lanes and run it back immediately. So racers really have to prove that it wasn't only a fluke. One thing they all have in common: everybody wants to get a seat in the big final. And that is exactly how they raced. Ferocious runs saw Martin Palm and Andre Foster emerge as the favorites to win the qualifiers, as they each laid waste to the rest of the field, with Palm taking victories over the entire field. Foster did equally impressive, only dropping the races to Palm. Going into the final 4 races of the group stage, Foster needed to win his race. Not only that, he also needed to go faster than Martin Palm in his races in order to have a chance to still win. How that played out? Well, let's see.
It's 2 wins apiece between Robin Johansson and Andre Foster. They both have 2 wins in their pockets, and therefore if one of them can win twice here, then they can equal Martin Palm for the moment. Palm still has to go again against Goran Johansson. And this is a very, very tricky thing to do. This Porsche specially built and designed by Kunos and Porsche themselves and then developed to run on this ice track, which is so tricky. You can hardly breathe on the throttle. The car desperately wants to swap ends. There is a little bit of traction control that these guys are using just to settle the car down, but even then it doesn't seem to really stop the beast. 3.6 seconds at the stagger. I'd say Andre Foster has some work to do here. I'm surprised because he seemed to be the faster of the two. Robin getting a load of understeer through there. And he is the one that we are watching right now in the black machine. Waiting a long time on the understeer before getting onto the throttle. Of course, you're using the throttle to turn the car at all points. There we go, the back end stepping out there. Quite wide into the last turn to give you opportunities. Look to the left of screen. Much faster across the bridge. Over the line, it is Fosto who wins. Incredibly close, though, between the two of them. So Fosto now has to win this one. And what's more, he has to find about a second and a half over the race time that he's managed to do so far. If he can go faster than Martin Palm and have 4 wins, if Palm then loses to Goran Johansson, which is unlikely, then Andre Foster can still qualify. The fastest man with the most wins goes through. Foster has 3 now. Palm has 4. We're right on board with Foster. As I say, he needs to find about a second and a half on his race time. I don't think his race time was that good the last time through. Over the bridge, gets a lot of air. We won't be seeing that in the real world, I don't think. But we've seen in years gone by a Race of Champions various machines. The Lamborghini, I seem to remember, and the Audi R8 at Bangkok getting air on practice days before they then put a chicane in. Robin Johansson getting just a little bit crossed up there, maybe too crossed up. The AC platform not really allowing sideways to be the best and fastest way. You have to be neat. And it just looks like there's a bit too much going on the steering wheel of Robin Johansson. Again, waiting for the front end to bite. Understeering very wide. Andre Foster looks really neat through that final turn. Comes towards the line, and can he go faster than a 30.1? He does! Right then. Pressure on Martin Palm. He now has to win this particular race. If he wins, he goes through. He doesn't need any more than that. But with Fosto's win on that last one, it does put a little bit of pressure. Just 4 Swedes entered the qualifying competition. These, therefore, those 4 people who put in the practice, qualified through the qualifying races across January. And it'll be great to see the Swedish flag represented at the eRoc World Finals. Goran over the line. And the split is in favour of Martin Palm here. A 46.5 on the inside lane is slow. 43s are what you're really looking for. Martin Palm hasn't done a very particularly fast lap either. But there is quite a big split. It's interesting, when you start from one line, it actually can be a lot slower than doing that same piece of track at full racing speed. I guess it's to do with the placement of the start line, the bridge and then start line so fast on this particular made-up layout. And to the line, Martin Palm does take the victory, and that puts him through.
Big props to our Swedish driver at the final, Martin Palm. With that out of the way, let's kick off the Open qualifier. From the 128 drivers we started with, only the top 8 made it here. And even marquee sim racers and invitational participants such as Moritz Luna and Kevin Siggy failed at getting into the top 8. So it really tells you about the level our finalists are on today. Just like last time, everybody will drive against everybody from their group first, before we get to have spicy action in the semifinals and finals. Same as before, anytime there is a race, these guys will switch lanes and give it another go. In Group A, we actually kick it off with Gorgo Baldi and Jake McIntyre in the first match before heading over to Aaron Bell and Arto Camera. Group B actually consists of Lucas Blackley taking on Nikodem Wisniewski and Florian Bodin taking on Martin Stefanko in our last match. As you can see, we have amazing potential in those groups, with sophisticated champions from ACC, rFactor 2 and iRacing. So let's jump straight into the action and look at the highlights of this group stage.
The second set of races, the second set of matches for our two groups, and Gergo Baldi and Aaron Bell in Group A, but they have not, either of them, had a victory as yet. Gergo beaten by Jack McIntyre in his first races, Arthur Camara beating Aaron Bell. Gergo actually a late replacement for Niels Naujoks. He was one of the very first qualifiers to get through, got to the final and got beaten by Niels Naujoks, but Niels deciding, considering that he'd already participated in eRoc in 2019 and come to Mexico, that he would give somebody else another chance. He did have a clashing event, and he was also placed in the same group as his BS competition teammate, Arthur Camara. So Niels very, very gallantly giving his place away to Gergo Baldi, who picked it up. Baldi from the world of Race Room, really, against Aaron Bell, who I have to say, do not know much about, but was very fast in the early qualifiers. And they were knockout races. The first win then is to Gergo Baldi, a 29.573. As you can see, the pace of these guys quite a lot better than our Swedish competitors, and actually a 29 is a good couple of seconds off where they have been in practice. But of course, when you're tiptoeing around the ice like this, you really do need to be very, very careful about pushing too hard, because you'll make a mistake. Oh, and there is a mistake from Gergo Baldi into the wall. And these walls are not very smooth. They're not walls that you can use to run and gain time. They are very rough, as you would expect from snow. And so Gergo will be losing time by rubbing against that wall. Over the bridge in the background is Aaron Bell and a 44.4. Not bad, actually, on the inside line. A stagger 3.8 seconds. That gives, I think that gives Aaron Bell the opportunity here to grab a win. Gergo with one, Aaron with one. And then at the moment, at this particular stage in time, Arthur Camara and Jack McIntyre with two each. And they've got to race each other, of course, in a few moments' time. The top two from each of the groups go through, let's not forget. So, whilst one can dominate the group, there is still opportunities for others. And then the top two from each group go through to our semi-finals. Over the line then, and it is going to be Aaron Bell who takes victory over Gergo Baldi. So here's the second half of Group A, Arthur Camara versus Jack McIntyre. These two probably are those two that are going to go through into the final. But in which order? Who is going to be the winner of the group? Who is going to be second? For me, right now, and I know we've got a couple of matches to go still, but this really is going to establish that fact. Jack McIntyre, incredibly committed to racing in the Race of Champions. He missed out on qualifying back in 2019. He tried also in the eRoc Virtual in 2020. And he has got through, after trying twice, to our final here. Big jump from Arthur Camara over the bridge. It's made out of containers that you'd see on ships, and they've built the snow and ice around it. Here's Jack McIntyre. The split is 3 seconds, so that I don't think is going to be enough for Jack. He needs to do a really good second lap. We're watching him now. And it's quite interesting how straight the car looks when we go on board, but actually when you go inside the car, you can see how much work is going on, how much opposite lock is being applied. They really do love this format of competition though. Jack over the bridge, and he has been beaten by Arta Camara. Wow, how close! We now move on to Group B, Lucas Blakely. Yes, that Lucas Blakely from F1 Esports against Florian Baudin, who's actually won a sim racing competition a few years ago to allow him to race in the VLN competition. So we've seen him do a bit of real world driving. We haven't seen Lucas doing any real world driving, but he has shown consistently that he is the fastest man in eRoc so far. Great to have the likes of Lucas Blakely enter off his own merit. We'll also see Martin Stefanko in a few moments' time, who also entered in his own merit. We saw Moritz Lerner, Kevin Siggy, those guys giving it another crack after missing out on the Invitational and actually missing out here. Baudin 5 seconds back. This is very much Lucas Blakely's, isn't it? He's going to easily take victory here. Blakely already with 2 wins over Nicodem, and Baudin being beaten by Stefanko. So that really shows that I think the race could be between Blakely and Stefanko, although Nicodem will try and grab some wins back when he races Stefanko in a few moments' time. Nice and neat from Blakely. Brian the final turns, over the line, and it is victory to the F1 Esports driver. We move now to the third group of races, and Stefanko and Blakely now match up. Stefanko beating Nicodem, and that means that Stefanko has himself 4 wins, and so does Blakely. So that really does mean these two are going through, but is it going to be the winner of the group Stefanko or the winner of the group Blakely? We'll find out in a few moments' time in these races. No chance for Nicodem to come back, I'm afraid. And actually, these group races have been pretty clear, pretty clean. Stefanko, 2.8 faster than Blakely. That's a very close stagger. Around 3 seconds, we think, is what the stagger should be. Riding on board with Stefanko. Just allowing the back end to step out a little bit. This is a very different beast to the electric machine that he was racing in on R Factor 2 that he became champion, snatching victory from Lasse Sorensen. Over the line, Blakely wins.
We had some intense racing this group stage, so let's take a look at how the groups played out in the end. As we can see, the group stage started with a strong performance from Jack McIntyre, followed by wins of Arta Camara and Lucas Blakely. Martin Stefanko set his mark as well when he won against Florian Baudin, and our only split series this group stage showed Giorgio Baldi and Aaron Bell being tied 1-1. After that, the trio of Camara, Blakely and Stefanko knocked it out of the park, securing all of them a playoff spot. But now it is time to set aside everything and hit it off into our semi-finals. The 4 best drivers will now face off once more against each other, with the winner of the group versing the runner-up in the opposing group. First, it will be Arta Camara and Martin Stefanko going head-to-head, with Lucas Blakely and Jack McIntyre up next. Both pairs will face off twice, and if they are tied after that, there will be a best of 3 to decide who goes to the qualifiers final. Without further ado, let us jump straight into the action.
Semi-finals time, Arta Camara versus Martin Stefanko. Camara the winner of Group A, McIntyre second in Group A, then Stefanko second in Group B to Lucas Blakely. Arta Camara will have all the secrets up his sleeve from his teammate Niels Naujoks, who have moved from G2 to BS competition for this season. Part of the Zebras now. But this is a very different affair. The track's obviously previously built in football stadiums, in the Olympic Stadium in London, Wembley. Last time we did Race of Champions, it was in the Foro Sol in Mexico, the last sector of the Formula 1 lap at the Mexican Grand Prix track. And we built a track in that stadium. All tarmac, nothing quite like this. The Gran Canarias hosted the Race of Champions for about 10 years, and that was a part tarmac, part dirt venue. And of course, the Race of Champions at the very beginning was really rally driver versus rally driver. It was only when it started in Paris, in stadiums, that the circuit races became more and more attracted to it. Although there's always been a close correlation to America. Over the line, Martin Stefanko takes the victory. Lucas Blakely, Jack McIntyre is our second semi-final. Oh, how Jack would love to get himself through to eRoc World Final. But he's up against one of the very, very best in the world of esports. Kind of maybe a bit of a surprise in F1 esports, the Aston Martin Works driver. But Lucas Blakely has felt the pressure of doing this competition. And how close is it going to be? He's on the inside line, so he comes over the bridge. They worked out how to do that. At the very beginning, they were landing and bouncing and crashing straight away. The stagger is enormous. Oh no! Lucas Blakely has got this one sewn up unless there's a mistake from the Scotsman. An all-British, if you like, semi-final. You've already got James Baldwin representing the UK. And even though it's complete competition across the whole world, last time we had Brendan Lee, we had Sebastian Jobe, and we had James Baldwin. 3 Brits, and then Nils Naujok's a German. And we're going to have a Swedish person at the very least. But we've got James Baldwin back through again, and it looks as though Lucas Blakely has got himself into the final as well. Right then, can either of the losers get themselves a victory? Back to Martin Stefanko and Arthur Camara, and Camara needs to win this one. We ride with Martin Stefanko right now. If Stefanko wins this, he goes through to the final. There will not be any need for a shootout. What an incredible job that Kevin Nilsky has done on building these tracks. This is not the actual layout of the Race of Champions track. This is an imagined version. Although they will drive on a virtual version of the real track when they get to the eRoc World Final, which is happening on Thursday, the 3rd of February. The winner of that will go through to represent Team Sim Racing against the very best real-world drivers out there, the likes of Sebastian Vettel, the likes of Valtteri Bottas, Mika Hakkinen, David Coulthard, as per usual, Peter Solberg and his son. So many incredibly famous names. And then we're going to have 4 sim racers hanging out with them as well. It's such a cool idea. And they really love this competition. Martin Stefanko's done it again. He's going through, and it's a great time.
And there we are. Only one can go to Sweden. Martin Stefanko showed dominating strength so far, but he faces an absolute powerhouse of sim racing in Lucas Blakely in the grand final up next. Roll the tape, and let's find out who will go up north.
Off we go then. Martin Stefanko and Lucas Blakely in the final of the eRoc qualifying event. Both ex-F1 esports drivers. I suppose Lucas Blakely is still a current one, although obviously we're now in the off-season. And Stefanko, winner of the ROCCO EX. I can't remember exactly how you say it now, but the electric championship that was hosted and dominated really by Lasse Sorensen on R Factor 2. But Stefanko winning the final and therefore becoming the world champion. Stefanko also a Williams esports driver. Lucas Blakely part of the Aston Martin team. And we have seen Aston Martin not just enter F1 Esports, but we have seen them in other things like the V10R League. So Blakely has had the opportunity to do different platforms, but he just has got on so well with sliding around on the ice. It's going to be incredibly close, this first race between Stefanko and Blakely. That split is very, very tight. Look at the work going on with Lucas Blakely. He's never fully on the throttle. 75% is the maximum that he stamps on the throttle. Where is Stefanko? Over the line. He's behind. Lucas Blakely's won. Stefanko needs to win this against Lucas Blakely to keep his chances alive of going through to Sweden, to Peter Havsbad, to this particular venue, to race against James Baldwin, to race against Martin Palm, we know he's going, and to race against the Overtake Community Award winner, one of our Invitational drivers you could send to the eRoc World Finals. I think it's going to be pretty hard for Martin Palm to do anything because he's going to have James Baldwin, he's going to have either Stefanko or Blakely, he's going to have another of the Invitational guys that are super fast, and poor old Martin Palm flying the flag for Sweden. He's going to have to wave it very viciously. Oh, 3.2 the stagger, so Stefanko is behind a little bit here. Blakely started the day in the 27s, and as he needed more pace, he's dropped his lap time down to a 26. Incredible pace. Nobody can get anywhere near the 26s, and Blakely's done it once or twice. We ride on board with the Scotsman, 20-year-old, and he comes around the final turn. Look in the background. Where is Stefanko? Has he made up any ground? Do not see him. It's going to be Blakely who takes the victory. Yes!
What an awesome performance from Lucas Blakely. He's not just an F1 superstar, but he can also do it on Assetto Corsa. Congratulations for being the third driver that will participate at the eRoc Live Final. Guys, we had an immaculate day of racing action, and before I go, I want to once again direct you to our Overtake Award on Twitter. Vote for your favorite driver to make them win the last spot at the on-site event in Sweden. Until next time, I want to wish you all the best. My name is Renee, and I see you guys there. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. If you missed the eRoc Invitational qualifier, you can watch it right here. Or just check out our latest Overtake video about which racing sim has the best online multiplayer. Everything based on the opinion of you, the community. Enjoy watching, and I see you next time.